So anyway, guys, so I'm living with my mum at the moment. See, she's stressed out, to be honest. And the reason she's stressed out is because I'm figuring things out on my own. And it's much more how she's trying to teach me things about life, but she's embarrassed about me life coaching, and she's embarrassed about things that are my passions. And that's why I want to live alone. You understand? That's why I don't want to be with her, because she doesn't respect my passion. You understand? And she told me so. Yes, and she told me that she is embarrassed that I life coach in front of people. And she told me to send that to the psychiatrist so that he can put me on medication forever. And I swear that if the psychiatrist doesn't see good in what I'm doing in terms of life coaching and YouTube and all that, and if they put me on medications all my life, I will understand that it's God doing so. That God is doing something to me in terms of life to show me that sometimes things don't go your way. You understand? So the thing is that in life, it doesn't always go your way. Yes, and it goes God's way all the time. You have to understand that. So throughout life, God tests people and God gives people strength, and God will try to give you what Jesus Christ went through. So for example, when I was in hospital over there, all I was asking for is more information about medication. And they're like, oh, we gave you enough information, but I want more information about that before you give it to me. And they said no. Do you understand? The thing is that when you have other people put an injection into you forcefully without your intent, or without you, in terms of without your saying or opinion on that, you know, saying like if I force an injection down your throat without ever hearing you out, I mean, is that life, or is that something that goes against you? Do you understand? Approach is both. You understand? I mean, you have to understand that people forcefully put medication down my throat. You understand? They force it upon me. It's not my choosing. I didn't choose that. You understand? I didn't choose to be on medication. Do you understand? But people chose that. I'm very sure other people chose for me to be on medication. So the thing is that God chose for me to be on medication. Do you understand? Because God works for other people. You understand? So what God's trying to teach me here is exactly Jesus Christ. You understand? He's trying to say to me, hey, I'm giving you medication. I'm giving you disability support pension. And go and do your passion. You understand? That's all God's saying to me. So God wants me to be in this position. Do you understand? God wants me to be healthier, of course. But the thing is that God is always the controller, and God's always the know-it-all, and God is everything in life. So you can never go against God. You can never go against anything in life. You have to let it be. Do you understand? So if people drown medications down your throat, it's because they did it to Jesus Christ as well. You understand? So God's trying to teach you that. God's going to say to you, hey, I put you through all of that so that you can understand my son, Jesus Christ. Do you understand? So that's what I'm understanding. I understand that I didn't choose for me to be on medication. Do you understand? But the thing is that Jesus Christ never chose to die. Do you understand? He never chose to die. Do you understand? People killed him. And people also shoved medications down my throat. You understand? But God can see everything before it happens. God gave his only son, Jesus Christ, so that you may have life in eternity. Do you understand? So you have to understand that God is always thinking about you. Do you understand? So things are going to happen in life, and things are going separate ways and stuff like that. So I told my mum today, hey, I want to live with my dad. I told her again, I want to be in Australia. And she got upset about that. Yeah, since she started to raise her voice And my mum's that type of person. She raises her voice at you. You understand? And apparently, if she doesn't get things her way, she will raise her voice about you. Do you understand? She will scream at you. She will scream to the heavens to you. Do you understand? So that you get it through your thick head. You understand? She wants to be right about everything. That's my mum. You understand? My mum wants to be right about everything, but she's all nice and lovely. You understand? Nice and lovely, jiggly. She knows life. She's a book. She's the Bible. She's the book of life. You understand? That's what she says about herself, and she is. You understand? The thing is that she's right about things. You understand? But she's not right about everything, and she's not wrong about everything. And she's not wrong and she's not right, but she likes to think that she's right about everything. That's the biggest error about life, that you think you're right. You understand? You think you're so right about everything. You understand? You can never think that. You understand? You can never go that way. You can never think that you're right about something. Because as soon as you're right about something, or as soon as you're so much thinking about how right you are, eventually you raise your tone, just like my mum, and eventually you start to shout at people because they don't understand you. Do you understand? They don't understand you because you think you're right about things. You understand? And you have to understand that people who think they are right about everything like to argue. You understand? They like to argue about everything, and they cause problems about everything. You understand? So, for example, when you tell my mum things, she will say, "Oh, don't tell me to hurry up in life. Don't tell me to do this. Don't tell me to live my life." She's like, "Don't tell me how to live my life." She's like, "Don't tell me what to do." You understand? But she likes to tell other people how to live their life. You understand? And she likes to tell other people what to do. You understand? But she doesn't like to be told what to do. And she doesn't like people showing her the life. You understand? So my mum's that type of person where she likes telling other people what to do, and she likes telling people how to live their life, but she doesn't like when people do it to her. You understand? That's my mum, and she will never admit to that, but she'll never admit to it. You understand? Because she's playing that game that you can never catch her. You understand? You can never catch her out, because only God understands her. You understand? She'll play the game that, oh, God only understands my true feelings about everything. But she'll say something, she'll ask me, "Danny, are you hungry?" And I'll say, "Yeah." And she'll say, "You're not eating anymore." Why did you ask me, am I hungry? That's like me asking you, "Hey, are you hungry?" And you're saying yes, and I say to you, "You're not going to have any more food." Why did you ask me in the first place, am I hungry? You're saying, why did you ask me in the first place, are you hungry? And the other day, just recently, my mum says, "Oh, do you want me to make you rice?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "What do you want me to put in it?" I said, "Mushroom sauce." She's like, "I'm not making mushroom sauce." You understand? And she's like, "Mushroom sauce is no good for you." The thing is that it's like, you asked me, what do I want in my rice? You understand? I said mushroom sauce. Why did you ask me in the first place, what do I want in my rice? She's like, "Oh, I was thinking maybe you want carrots and peas and corn inside of your rice." Do you understand? So my mum's the type of person that she likes to ask you questions, and then she'll say no to you. Do you understand? She likes to ask you first to see your reaction, and then she'll say no. Do you understand? No. Like she's the boss of you or something. Do you understand? That's my mum. You understand? So you cannot live with my mum. You understand? I don't know how Toma lives with my mum, to be honest. Like, would I want to live with my mum? I promise you, the thing is that I can live with my mum, but I'd rather be alone. You understand? I'd rather be alone. So that's how I feel. But the thing is that if I was my mum's boyfriend, is it tough living? I'm pretty sure, is it tough living with my mum? I can say that life is much better when you live alone. You understand? And my mum likes to argue about everything. I love my mum to death. I love her to death. She does a lot of things for me. You understand? She does everything for me. You understand? She likes to buy me food. She likes to do everything to me. You understand? She likes to boss me around. She likes to tell me what to do. She likes to teach me. She likes to spoil me. She likes to make me food. She likes to tell me when to sleep. You understand? She likes to tell me go in the shower. She likes to tell me things in life. Do you understand? But she doesn't do that for you. You understand? She doesn't do it for you. She does it for me. That's how my mum is. So it's like, for example, with my mum, she's better off with someone, to live with someone, than on her own. She likes to live with people. My mum loves to live with people. My mum, I promise you, when she's alone and doing everything alone, it's much more difficult for her. You understand? It's so difficult for her. Like, she has to drive. She has to drive. She has to do it on her own. You understand? And that's difficult for her to do. She can do it. I promise you, she can do it, but it's difficult. But when she has a boyfriend, it's much easier for her because the boyfriend is always driving. Yes, and the boyfriend's always carrying things. The boyfriend's always keeping her company. You understand? And that's much more of what she needs in the moment. You understand? But with me, you have to understand, with my mum, you have to give her space. You understand? You have to give everyone space. You understand? And it's nice when people tell you, hey, give me space now. Give me space. Yes, I want to be alone. But the thing is that with my mum, she raises her tone a lot. She has no awareness of how loud she is. You understand? So, for example, I have to be careful so that my mum doesn't hear what I'm saying, because she'll start an argument with me. And she'll say, you're wrong about that. You're wrong about this, you're wrong about that. I'm telling you because of this, this, and this, and this. She wants to explain to me exactly everything. And then she calls me stubborn. She says, you're so stubborn. You're just like your father. You understand? She's embarrassed by me. You understand? My mum's embarrassed by me that I've done drugs in life. You understand? But her smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol is okay. That's okay. Do you understand? But she's like, oh, no. But the other drugs that she hasn't taken. Oh, so now, just because you haven't taken those drugs, in terms of illicit drugs, just because you haven't taken illicit drugs, now you can tell me what to do in life, or now you can boss me around. You understand? Because you haven't never, ever in your life taken illicit drugs or illegal drugs in life. Now you're somehow smarter than me in life. You understand? My mum likes to put you down. She likes to put you down like that. She'll say, oh, but I never done illegal drugs. I'm smarter than you. That's my mum. Do you understand? My mum's like, hey, I never done illegal drugs, but you have. You understand? You were a drug addict, Danny. You were a drug addict. But she smokes cigarettes and she drinks alcohol. She's going to tell me who's a drug addict in life. You understand? So, you have to understand something. That drinking caffeine makes you a drug addict. Smoking a cigarette makes you a drug addict. Do you understand? And also, drinking alcohol makes you a drug addict. Do you understand? But with my mum, it's okay to drink alcohol, but not too much. And it's okay to smoke cigarettes, but not too much. And it's okay to drink caffeine, but not too much. Do you understand? So that's my mum. But Danny Milivojevic says that it's no good to drink caffeine, and it's no good to smoke cigarettes, and it's no good to drink alcohol at all. You understand? But my mum says the opposite. She says it's okay to smoke a cigarette here and there. She says it's okay to drink caffeine here and there. And she says it's okay to drink alcohol here and there. But the thing is that when I drink alcohol, she gets angry. You understand? My mum gets angry when I drink alcohol. But when she drinks alcohol, then I have no right to get angry. Do you understand? That's how my mum is. You can never be angry at her for drinking alcohol, but she can be angry at you for drinking alcohol. You understand? So it doesn't make sense. My mum doesn't make sense at all. You understand? So for example, you have to understand something. That my mum thinks that cigarettes is something that a drug addict never uses. You understand? And my mum thinks that drinking caffeine and drinking alcohol is something that a drug addict never uses. You understand? So the thing is that my mum likes to tell you exactly, like for example, that if you're someone who is doing illicit drugs, she's all proud. I mean, she's so proud of herself. I mean, do you know how proud she is that she never done drugs in her life? I mean, she's done drugs. I promise you, my mum done drugs in life. She smoked a cigarette. I promise you, my mum drank alcohol. You understand? That's drugs. You understand? But she'll never admit to that. You understand? She drank caffeine. That's a drug. You understand? It's a psychoactive drug. A cigarette is a psychoactive drug. And an alcoholic beverage is a depressant. You understand? It's a drug. You understand? So the thing is that my mum is so proud. I mean, she's so proud of herself that, for example, she's so proud that she never done illegal drugs like methamphetamine or ice, which is the same thing, or speed, or ecstasy, which is all the same thing, or weed, that she never smoked weed in her life. You understand? I mean, she's so proud that she never done cocaine, do you understand, or heroin. She's so proud of that, do you understand? And as soon as she meets someone that's done that, she's embarrassed. She's totally embarrassed by you. Because she's embarrassed by me for doing that. You understand? I mean, why do you need to be embarrassed? It's a life experiment. I mean, you understand? I mean, if your kids do drugs, why do you need to be embarrassed by that? You understand? That's not your problem. You understand? You never be embarrassed about your kids doing drugs. You understand? That's just the way it is. You understand? I promise you, if my kids started drugs, I wouldn't be embarrassed by that because I went through that. I know that experience. I would tell them nicely. I would say, hey, Danny, I'd say, hey, to my kids, I would say, hey, listen, I've done drugs. It's not the way. And that's all. I wouldn't keep repeating myself like my mum does. Do you understand? My mum likes to repeat herself. She likes to say, oh, I never done illegal drugs just like you, Danny. Do you understand? She likes to say, hey, I've never done illegal drugs like you, Danny. I'm smarter than you, Danny. I'm smarter than you. She likes to point fingers at me like this. You understand? She likes to put me down because of that. So what I encourage by this is God's always teaching me something. Do you understand? So please, 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 if your kids ever do drugs, never, ever, ever put your kids down like the way my mother does me. You understand? So if you've never done drugs, be proud of yourself. Do you understand? And the thing is that you're not smarter than anyone else in life. I promise you. But nobody else is smarter than you in life. You have to understand something. That if you've never done drugs and your kid's done drugs, never be embarrassed by that. You understand? And I'm telling you from personal experience. Because your kids are gonna always experience something more than what you haven't. You understand? And my mum's like, oh, but I can do whatever you've done and more. I mean, you understand? My mum's like to me like that. She's like, I can be in your life. I can do your life and even better than you. You understand? I promise you now, the thing is that that's true. You can do better than me. But you've never walked my path, have you? You understand? You've never walked my path, I told her today. You've never been in my shoes. You don't know what it's like. You understand? And she's like, but I can do exactly. She's like, what have you done, Danny? What have you done? You've traveled to Australia. She's like, I can get $10,000 today and go and travel Australia in 1 month. I can see Australia. You understand? And the drugs, is that what you've done? Just drugs? She's like, I've been around drug addicts. I know what that's like. No, you don't. You don't know what it feels like to travel Australia because you've never done it. You understand? You've never done it. So how can you say that you can get $10,000 and travel Australia when you've never done it? You understand? So the thing is, it's much more how she's never done illicit drugs in her life. And I see that as an advantage in life. That I can teach people now, and I can really teach people to stay off the drugs because I've been there. You understand? And when you're around the drugs, I promise you, when you're doing illicit drugs, you start going through the night. You understand? You start being a night stalker. I mean, you're always crawling in the night somewhere. You understand? You're always with drug addicts. And it's a dark road. You understand? And when you have a girl or when you have a man by your side, you don't appreciate them. You understand? That's what drugs do to you. You understand? Drugs is something like, it's an alleyway. You understand? And when you take it much more often, you start to lose yourself in the chase. You start to lose who you are. And bit by bit, you become degraded. Bit by bit, you start to have diseases in your life. You understand? And bit by bit, you start to crumble. You understand? You're not the same person you were. You understand? You're not that cheerful type person anymore. You start getting aggro. You start getting really aggro. You understand? You start becoming angry. You start fighting your parents. Like my cousin, for example, he started to hit his parents. You understand? I mean, how does that look good, guys? Never hit your parents. I never in my life hit my mum or dad. I pushed my dad once. I pushed him because he was gonna hit me, but I never hit him. Do you understand? I don't want to hit a 65-year-old man like my cousin. You understand? Because I can smash him. I can totally be someone who can smash my dad very easy because he's very weak. He thinks he's very strong at 65. He's very weak. You understand? And never ever spit at your kids. My dad spit in my face twice. You understand? He spit in my face twice. Never ever spit in your kid's face. Because that's not the attitude you want to bring to the table. So, my mum and dad both have advantages and they both have disadvantages. You understand? But myself, I'll give you just advantages. You understand? You never have to live with me. I can teach you anything I want in life. I can tell you how it is. I can tell you what it's like. I can tell you who it's with, where it is, when it is, and how it is, all the time. You understand? So the thing is that I'm not smart. I'm not a smart person. You understand? But I'm not dumb either. You understand? I'm not stupid. You understand? I'm very smart and I'm very stupid at the same time. You understand? I'm not that type of person to call myself smart only. Because I'm dumb. I'm really dumb as a person. You understand? Like, for example, today I still smoke cigarettes. I'm stupid like that. I still drink caffeine. I'm stupid like that. You understand? I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't want to drink alcohol. And plus, my mum gets angry at me. I'm with my mum at the moment. She gets angry when I drink alcohol. You understand? She starts problems with me. And then she says alcohol is the problem. You understand? So when I start drinking alcohol, my mum is the first one to get angry at me. And then she says, you're the problem because you're drinking alcohol. She blames me for it. You understand? My mum blames me that I drink alcohol for why we're arguing. You understand? But she doesn't want to admit to herself that she's the one that starts it first. Do you understand? So the thing is that when people are trying to be right, there's an argument going on. And there's always violence going on when a party and another party want to be right. So that's the thing that happened with my cousin recently, with his parents. He had a fight with his dad. And the fight was over who's right. You understand? So my cousin's trying to outsmart his dad, and his dad's trying to outsmart him about who's tougher. Who's much more mightier. About who's much more aggro, or who's much more smarter than the other person. But they resorted to violence. You understand? They resorted to violence to teach a lesson to somebody. You never resort to violence ever. Violence is not the answer. You understand? Violence gets you worse in life. You understand? So the thing is that I know that my uncle didn't do drugs. Now he smokes cigarettes, which is drugs, and he does drugs, but he doesn't do illegal drugs. And now my cousin, on the other hand, is much more likely to do illegal drugs. You understand? He's much more able to do illegal drugs because he's still young. You understand? And now they both smoke cigarettes. They both drink alcohol. You understand? And they both drink caffeine. But my uncle is much more likely not to do illegal drugs at his age of 65 than my cousin who's 30 years of age. Do you understand? So my cousin is in jail for 1 month because of the fight that he had with his parents, and he's going to be transported to a hospital nearby somewhere to get medication for himself. And he's going to be put on medication, and he's going to go really fat. Yes, and he's going to understand my life now. Yes, and he's going to understand exactly what I went through. Yes, and so what's going to happen is he's going to get worse. Yes, and my cousin's getting worse, and right now he's getting better, in jail, because he's not smoking cigarettes, he's not drinking alcohol, he's not drinking caffeine in the jail, unless they're providing that for him. You understand? But if they're not providing that for him, then he's doing better, even though he had a fight with his parents. You understand? So depending on the situation, I'm not sure what's happening over there now, but the thing is that once he goes to hospital and once he starts being on medication, you understand, he's going to get fatter, and because he gets fatter, he's going to have a self-image like, oh, but what the heck? You understand? He's going to say to himself, oh, but what the fuck? Who cares? And he's going to pick up a cigarette and he's going to drink alcohol again. because of his self-image. And that's what I conceive about myself. That I smoke cigarettes and that I drink caffeine, you understand, because of my self-image. You understand? I'm aware about that now. But that's what I'm going through. You understand? I mean, once a person starts getting on that medication, you understand, it makes you fatter. It makes you fat and obese. And your self-esteem drops. You understand? Your self-esteem starts to drop about the person you are. You understand? You start to lose yourself a bit in that medication that you're taking. You understand? Because I went through that. And I'm still going through it right now. I mean, have I lost myself to some degree because of the medication? I promise you, definitely. I've lost the person I am because of that medication. You understand? That medication made me something fat. It made me start to smoke cigarettes. It made me start to drink caffeine. It made me start to drink alcohol. You understand? I went through that period. I'm still going through that period, but I quit alcohol. You understand? I quit alcohol because I'm on the medication. And now that's what my mum said. Don't drink alcohol while you're on medication. You understand? Because it doesn't work like that. But don't drink alcohol at all, is what my mum should have said. And she has to say much more than that. And she has to really, really elaborate on why. You understand? And she needs to say something like, Danny, don't drink alcohol because you're on the medication, but also because it's life. Because that alcohol doesn't make you who you want to be. And it makes you worse over time, and it causes diseases inside of you. You understand? But she doesn't explain it that way. And now I don't need her to tell me that. I don't need her to tell me all that information. I already see that for myself. I'm smart enough never to drink alcohol again. So for example, sometimes you have to have pauses in your communication, do you understand? But my mum's embarrassed about me life coaching. This is all life coaching that I'm teaching you today. She's embarrassed by this. She's embarrassed by me. She's embarrassed that I've done drugs in my life. But I'm embarrassed about my mother, you understand? That she does drugs too. But I'm not embarrassed about my mother drinking alcohol. I'm not embarrassed about my mother smoking cigarettes or the way she looks like. I see past that. I'm not embarrassed at all. That's my mother and that's it. You understand? The thing is that I'm not my mother. I'm Jesus Christ. You understand? And I say that because I follow Jesus Christ. I'm not the real Messiah. I'm just a follower of Jesus Christ. And you have to understand something. That I'm not someone who's embarrassed about my parents. You understand? They're embarrassed by me. I'm not embarrassed by them. You understand? Never be embarrassed about your kids. Never be embarrassed by your kids. That's not the way of life. God's not embarrassed by it. I promise you, God's not embarrassed by you doing drugs. God wants you to experience drugs for yourself. Do you understand? God wants you to experience everything in life. Even if that means illegal drugs or any type of drug in the planet. God wants you to keep experiencing everything. God wants you to experience all your heart's desires in life. And God's never ashamed of you. You understand? Never. God's never ashamed that you've done drugs. God's never ashamed of you that you've done drugs. God's never ashamed about you in life. God's never ashamed that you lied or that you cheated or that you stole something or that you sinned in life. God's never embarrassed by you, by anything that you've done in life. Do you understand? God's never embarrassed by you that you've done drugs, that you sinned, that you lied, that you cheated, that you stole, that you caused violence in the world. You understand? God is not embarrassed by you. God treats you equally to Jesus Christ. Do you understand? But my mum is embarrassed by me. My dad is embarrassed by me. Do you understand? I'm not embarrassed by them. I want to be with my parents. You understand? You understand? I want to be with my parents, but I want to be alone even more. I understand something about life. You understand? So what my cousin is going through right now is a period of where he's doing much better now in jail if they're not providing him drugs. And now I understand 100% that he started a fight with his parents because of drugs. And that was the issue. You understand? His parents told him something about drugs, that he's a drug addict. He got offended and he started to fight back. You understand? And that's the exact thing that's happened. I can actually see that now. I can see 100% that it's because of the drugs. You understand? Because why else? You understand? My mum is smart enough to see that too. But she's not as smart as me. You understand? And she's not as dumb as me. You understand? I'm much more dumber than my mum. I'm much more of a stupid idiot than my mum. But I'm much more wiser than my mum. Do you understand? So I get both sides of the story. Do you understand? Because I'm much more stupid than my mum in terms of drugs. And that's only one aspect of life. But I'm much more wiser than my mum through spirituality. You understand? So the thing is that the difference between me and my parents is I teach you much more than they do. You understand? I give much more information than they do. That's the only difference between everything. You understand? So the thing is that now, since I see my cousin over here, I want to talk about it because it opens up a story about me here. You understand? And the thing is that now, if they're providing him drugs over there, I promise you, either way, he's doing worse in life. You understand? And why is that? Because he's in jail. First of all, he's in jail for 1 month. And you have to understand that's worse when you're in jail. You understand? That's the first point. And now, the second point is, if they are giving him drugs over there, like coffee or cigarettes or alcohol. And now, probably alcohol is probably prohibited in that jail. Probably they're not allowed to have alcohol. Do you understand? So I know that 100%. Do you understand? He's not drinking the alcohol. I promise you, he's not drinking alcohol in that jail. And now cigarettes is something different. I promise you now, he can only ever get cigarettes from his family. And now if his family is providing him cigarettes, then that means that his dad has to provide him cigarettes. But he just had a fight with his dad. So now it's up to his dad whether he gets cigarettes or not. Do you understand? So I really, really doubt that his dad's giving him cigarettes because his dad cannot afford it. Do you understand? His dad cannot afford it. So he's not smoking cigarettes. Let's just say that I'm 100% sure that Nemanja Brkic, which is my cousin, is not smoking cigarettes in jail right now. So that brings me to caffeine. And now caffeine is another story. I promise you now, over here, in jail over there, they might be able to provide caffeine. You understand? Caffeine can be provided for in jail. Do you understand? And now the thing is that coffee is a thing that can be made for free. At a certain time in jail, you can get coffee. Do you understand? So he might be drinking coffee. But he also might not be drinking coffee if he stays away from it. You understand? But his parents don't have to provide him coffee here. And I really highly doubt that his parents are providing him coffee because his mother broke her hip while trying to break up the fight between him and his father. Do you understand? So his mother's out of the equation here. So I'm pretty sure that his dad is not providing him caffeine at the moment. So that means the jail might be providing him caffeine. So either way, let's say that he is either drinking caffeine or not. You understand? So that's 50-50, depending on him. You understand? But he's not having too much caffeine. Apparently he's not drinking too much caffeine. Apparently he's probably having 1 or 2 or 3 cups a day. Yes, and let's just put it at that. 3 cups a day. At max. You understand? So the thing is that I know for sure that the jails are not providing him vegan food. You understand? They're providing him vegan food, but not vegan, the way I can be vegan. You understand? So anyway, now, since he's in jail for one month or more, you understand, because he's still going through a trial period, you understand? So what's going to happen is he's either going to get more time in jail or more time in hospital. You understand? So it's one of the two. You understand? So the thing is that if he doesn't go jail, then he's going hospital. But if he chooses not to go hospital, then he can get more jail time. So what would I do in this situation? I definitely go to hospital. You understand? I definitely go to hospital and get myself medication. You understand? So that I avoid jail time. Do you understand? Because jail time is the worst. You understand? You have to understand that if you're in jail, you can get out through having medication. But what he has to do is he has to be in a mental health facility for 1 month minimum. So for 2 months now, he's going to be in a psychiatric ward or jail. You understand? Minimum. You understand? And now what's going to happen now is his self-image is going to fall apart. You understand? He's going through a trial period right now. His self-image of who he is, apparently his six-pack and his six-pack that he used to have, apparently right now he has a six-pack, okay? Like he has abs, you understand? He works out, you understand? He has muscles. Apparently that's fading away. Apparently why is it fading away? Because he's on the medication. You understand? He's on the medication, and that's why he's going to fatten up. He's going to become fat. I understand that already, you understand? And then his self-image is going to fall apart. And then what's going to happen from that point is he's going to rebuild his relationship with his dad and mum again. And then he's going to get healthier, and then he's going to get off the medication, and then he's going to lose weight. And then he's going to help himself to get back on track. You understand? And that's where I am right now. You understand? So what I'm doing now is I'm building a relationship with my mum and dad. You understand? Because the thing is that I've always done that in my life. But the thing is that the drugs made me break walls, made me shout at my dad, stuff like that. I wasn't too good with my dad, you understand? But I didn't hear him. I never hear him in life. I had that consciousness to never hear him. And I was aggro at my dad. I was very aggro with my dad. And now, those people that put me in a psychiatric ward, which is the police, found out that I was very angry. You understand? And because I was very angry, they put me into a psychiatric ward again. And now I've learnt my lesson. Do you understand? To never get angry. My lesson, in terms of what I'm going through right now, is because I must never get angry. You understand? So they put me on medication to smoothen things out. Do you understand? But that medication doesn't work. Do you understand? That medication that they put me on doesn't work. Do you understand? They think it works. It doesn't work. So the thing is that the true lesson here is never get angry. That's my lesson. You understand? Never get angry. I was unappreciative of that situation I was in, and I got angry about it. I was angry at my dad. I was angry at myself for being in that position. So what happened? They put medication on me because I was ungrateful about my integrity. Do you understand? I was ungrateful about my integrity because I got angry. You understand? And when you get angry, you're ungrateful about your integrity. You understand? But not everybody goes on medication for that. But I'm the one who gets to suffer about that now. You understand? So I put myself through suffering again. And what happened was my self-image started to dissipate. You understand? It started to dissipate. And why is that? Because I started to get more in weight. I started to become much more in weight. I started to look at myself in a different image. So I created a different image for myself altogether. I started smoking, started drinking alcohol again. You understand? Started smoking cigarettes, started drinking caffeine again. So that's because my image went away and my thinking went another direction. Do you understand? So what is the problem now? I have no problems. Do you understand? I'm just putting myself through another experience right now. Do you understand? I'm going through a different period. So right now, my image is gone. Do you understand? My image of who I am is gone. I mean, is that right? I mean, it's not right. Apparently, it's not wrong. Apparently, it's the way it is. Apparently, the person I am today is much greater. I'm much greater than ever before. I'm much more less likely to get angry now because I've learnt my lesson. You understand? I've learnt my lesson to never get angry. But it's never going to happen again. You understand? Because there's no time for that to happen again. My dad's passing away. You understand? There's not going to be another opportunity for this. You understand? So we're moving on. We're moving forward. So now I'm going to be on medication for the next maybe few years, maybe. I'm not sure. But the thing is that things are changing around here. I'm getting better. You understand? I'm getting better in terms of not getting angry. You understand? I went to anger management school when I was younger. I went to a counselor about my anger management. You understand? And I was learning not to get angry. And that didn't help me. You understand? And now I'm not angry about that. But I didn't learn from it. I went to all that counseling for nothing. You understand? That was time wasted. You understand? So I wasted time in my life. But I get it back through other ways, through doing more for God. You understand? I do more for God and God will do more for me. You understand? So drugs make you aggro. Do you understand? And that's why I got angry. I got really angry because something in my mind just shifted. It shifted. I started thinking about Jesus Christ and stuff like that, and just shifted. You understand? I got angry. Just out of nowhere, it just happened. You understand? And very stupid, but the thing is that that's why they put me on medication. They put me on medication so that I never get angry. But I can get angry right now. I can go kill my mother now. But I never want to do that. You understand? That medication doesn't work. It's an illusion. Do you understand? But that's what they do to Jesus Christ as well. I never chose the medication for myself. I never chose to have medication in my life. but God chose it for me to teach me a lesson. You understand? God put me through this to teach me a lesson. You understand? And that's what Nemanja is going through at the moment. So that's why this is all clearing out for me now. So things that happen with Nemanja is meant to happen so that I can learn from it. So he's just an example. You understand? So I'm learning from this situation right now. You understand? So I keep doing what I do. So you have to understand something, that people are going to be embarrassed by you. Never be embarrassed by yourself. You understand? Never be embarrassed by you. You understand? First of all, never ever go upon the opinion of other people. You understand? Because in their eyes, you're never perfect. But in your eyes, you're always perfect. You understand? Because if you are embarrassed by you, then everyone else is embarrassed by you. You understand? And now, am I embarrassed by who I am at the moment? Probably no. I'm not embarrassed by who I am. This is who I am. You understand? And you have to understand something. I'm becoming much more aware about everything. Every time I life coach much more, I become much more aware about who I am. You understand? I am that fashion model. And that's going to get me back on track. Because I've been there. I hit the top of the roof. You understand? And I can get myself back there easily. No problem. But there's a time coming now when my dad's going to pass away very soon. I'll give him another 2-3 years. You understand? Approximately 2-3 years. I reckon my dad's passing sooner than that. You understand? I have to be with my dad much more. So the thing is that right now I have to be with my mum. You understand? But the thing is that it's much more how there's a time coming when my dad's going to pass away. Okay, my dad's passing away. I'm going to be alone. They're going to get me off the medication. They're going to get me off the medication. You understand? And my biggest mentor in life is God. But my dad drove me crazy. Do you understand? And is it my dad that drove me crazy or me? Apparently my dad was around me at the time when I got angry at my dad. You understand? I thought he was going to kill me. So is it better with my dad or without my dad? Apparently it's better without my dad in life. Do you understand? It's better with God. With God it's different. So once my dad passes away, that's when they get me off the medication. You understand? But they might get me off the medication sooner than that. You understand? So the thing is that the same thing twice is not going to happen. I know that for sure. And the thing is that once my dad passes away, I'll never get angry again. And I'm never angry at the moment either. But the thing is that when I live alone, when I'm alone, that's going to be a new test of time for me. It's going to be a new test of strength to be alone. Do you understand? To go work, to go do things, to make a family for myself. Do you understand? I get another opportunity here to do better. So the thing is that now, more than ever, I see exactly what my path is. You understand? Because I can see what's going on right now. You understand? So I'm going through a period of the thing in terms of how I am at the moment. And I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to keep doing better. I'm going to keep life coaching because that's the most important thing. And my music production. And everything else can get screwed. Except for God. And my family. You understand? And people. You understand? But the thing is that people drove me here. You understand? And when I say that, I mean God. I mean God drove me here. Because everything drove me here. to this point, to teach you a lesson, to teach you something about everything that's going on. You understand? So that's why I teach so much, and that's why I go through so much periods of everything to teach you. And my mum misses the point here. She doesn't know to teach you something about life, but she goes trying to teach me something. You understand? But what she teaches me, I teach you straight away. You understand? But she doesn't teach you. She teaches you through me. You understand? So that's why I'm always in a situation where I'm putting myself through different things, yes, and to experience life and to teach life, because life is everything, yes, and so everything that's happening right now is good for me. Yes, it's good for me. You understand? I mean, God said the world is good. You understand? So think about it. You understand? I mean, people die right now. People get into car accidents because of a reason, because it's good. You understand? It's a good thing. You understand? You don't know what went through the minds of those people who crashed in an airplane and stuff like that. You understand? Maybe they all chose that for themselves. I definitely never chose that. So I never experienced that for myself. I mean, I believe that people choose their experiences. Do you understand? I believe that if you go so far that you want something bad to happen to you, then God will help that to be true in your life. Do you understand? So do I want to die of diseases? No, I want to die of old age. Do you understand? And that's always going to be me. You understand? So I'm putting myself through situations and things are happening for me, and I can quit caffeine. I can quit cigarettes. I mean, you have to understand something. It's very easy to quit, and there's no lies about that. And even Alan Carr taught me that. You understand? He taught me. He said, hey, it's very easy to quit smoking. It's very easy to quit alcohol. It's very easy to stay quit. You understand? And it's very easy to quit drugs as well. But once you are going so long with the drugs, it feels like that it's difficult, but it's not difficult. You understand? So right now, I see what's going on in my life, and I'm going through a different period in my life now where I'm experiencing more of traveling at the moment, because something is happening right now for me, and that's more traveling time at the moment. So God's putting me through this situation so that I can teach you something about this moment in time. And that's it. Yes, and that's what I believe in. But my mum's embarrassed by that. But she doesn't know. She's unaware. She's unaware about what she says. She doesn't know what she does in life. But she says it for goodness sake. You understand? She means good. You understand? So anyway, guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this program. I hope that you go out teaching people everything about life, and that you understand that I just became more aware about everything. Yes, and I became much more aware about this situation and my life. So for example, now for myself, I want to live alone. I want to grow. I want to understand that life without my dad. You understand? I'm much more curious about that. I'm awaiting his death, and I'm going to go to his funeral. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to invite some people and stuff like that. Mira's going to help me. God will help me make a funeral for my dad. And I'll pay for it. Yes, and I'll pay for his funeral. Yes, and Mira will pay for it, and then I'll pay Mira and stuff like that. And I'll work and I'll do things here and there. Yes, and I'll do things and I'll keep doing my work. But the thing is that I got myself off the ground. I got myself off the ground with life coaching. Do you understand? And I teach for a reason, because someone's listening. And that's it. Yes, and that's where I'm going. I'm going a different way. I'm going a better way. I'm going somewhere different. Do you understand? That's where I need to go. I need to go. And I can see when my time is up. I promise you, my time is not up yet. I have a long time to go. I promise you that time is coming up. You understand? that death is approaching me. But the thing is that I can see it. I have at least over 20 years of my life left to live. I can do a lot in that time. I said over 20 years. The thing is that I have a long time to live because everything is happening for a reason. And I'm going to quit cigarettes. I'm going to quit alcohol. I already quit alcohol. And I don't want to be on drugs because that's the way of life. Do you understand? Eventually, I'm going to get myself there. But the thing is, for now, I just want to experience a bit more. I want to just go and do my life. And the thing is, I understand that nobody can make you happy. I've been looking today at this beautiful woman in Croatia, in terms of Montenegro over here. Beautiful woman. I mean, wow. I mean, they're just with average guys. Yes, and average guys. Yes, and average guys have them. And that's it. What can you do? I mean, you have to understand that they can never pleasure me. But I said to God that I just crave the God's connection with you. Yes, and with everything. I crave connection. Yes, and that's why I have all the time. I always have connection everywhere. People will lead you in a better place. Yes, and but depending on who you surround yourself with. So be careful. You understand? Surround yourself around people who are smarter. You understand? Go around those people. Because otherwise you're going to be led into drugs. And now my mum's like, oh, but that Nemanja Brkic of my cousin could have led me to drugs. You understand? So she said, it's much better you didn't go to Serbia. I was meant to go to Serbia to see my family over there, but there's a different plan going on. Yes, and God says something different to me. God said, go somewhere else. Go be with your mum. So I see my God is pointing me to my mum at the moment. So that means that something's up with my mum. I see it's much more valuable to be with my mum at the moment than to be with my family in Serbia. That's what God is saying to me. You understand? So that's why I'm on the way somewhere. You understand? I'm going somewhere with my mum. And we're going to enjoy this time together. And then we're going to go places. You understand? And we're going to enjoy things. And then God's going to say, hey, go to your dad. You understand? God's going to say that. Go to your dad now. You understand? Because he's going to go away very soon. You understand? And I asked God, when is he going to approach that death? It's approaching. It's more, it's going to happen. You understand? And you get a feeling. You'll get a feeling, says God. Yes, and you always get a feeling when something happens. You understand? Before it happens. So, he's not going to pass away yet, but there's a time where that happens. So for now, I'm understanding that now, since God said, go a different direction, you understand? I just go and help myself to do better. You understand? I just go a different direction now. I'm understanding what's going on around me. I see some people are not doing too good in their life. You understand? Some people from the past that I've seen. You understand? So death is approaching. You understand? Sometimes when someone passes away from you in terms of who's nearby you, you understand? That wakes you up to some degree. It helps you to become much more aware. So death makes you more aware about everything. Yes, and so when you realize that people are passing away in your life, then death is approaching, and awareness is approaching death. Do you understand? You have to understand that. And see, it's much more how you can always keep teaching something. You can always go teach something much more about life. You can always understand much more about everything. But my passions are more than everything. Only God understands what I mean. You understand? I mean that God means more to me than everything. You understand? And that's my passion. Teaching. Everything that I'm going through. You understand? So right now there's a better time coming for me. I'm understanding that. But I have to go through this moment. I have to go through this period of time at the moment to be where I want to be. Do you understand? So that's the way it is for the moment. But I'm experiencing life. You understand? Sometimes you have to be fat in order to understand how it is to be skinny. You understand? And now, since I understand this situation, I'll never return to this situation ever again. I'm never going backwards. Just understand that. I'm going forwards because I teach it. But if I wasn't teaching, then God would have another plan for me. You understand? If I wasn't doing my music production and life coaching, I asked God, what would I be doing? God would say, be a slave over there somewhere. I mean, God would say, go work a 9-to-5 job and make a family for yourself. I mean, that's where God would lead me. You understand? I understand that. I can see that. And definitely I wouldn't go traveling. I wouldn't go traveling anywhere. You understand? But God gave me traveling today. He gave me the ability to travel. You understand? Because I do work for Him. I do work for God. And that's why God sends me everywhere. You understand? God sends me to these places so that I can experience life and so that I can teach for Him. And there's always a free way. And God will always provide you the free way. Do you understand? God will always show you what you need to do much better. You understand? God will always show the path that you need to go on. So God's telling me, it's either you live alone or with your mum. I mean, what do you want? I'd rather be alone. But God lets you choose. You understand? God shows you, hey, what's better is you be always alone. You understand? Be alone throughout life because you're born alone. You're going to die alone. You may as well live alone. You understand? That's the way it is. So I have to enjoy this time with my mother now because I'm understanding my future now. That it's not with my mum. You understand? But it is with my mum. But the thing is that I'm not going to be living with her much. You understand? So I have to enjoy this time with her. Because it's very, very helpful right now to see that. You understand? Because right now, more than ever, I need my mum at the moment. I need to be around her, but she needs space as well. I have to give her space sometimes. I have to understand to do my life coaching at times, and everything's going to happen, but it's going to go quick. You understand? So more than ever, I understand my road now. I understand my road is without my mum. That's the lesson. Do you understand? That's what God's trying to teach me. You understand? God's trying to teach me, hey, the road's not with your mum. The roads are going alone. Go alone, mate. You understand? And that's where I'm learning really quickly. You understand? My mum understands me. You understand? She understands that I want to be alone. That I want to be with myself for once. And I'm with myself right now, but I want to go do God's work alone. You understand? And that makes me want to cry. You understand? Because I'm doing good. You understand? So God has better plans for me now. You understand? So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm much more in a better situation now to have a girlfriend, to have whatever I want in life. So we'll see what's going to happen. Maybe God, I promise you, maybe God doesn't want to give, but no, God always gives. God gives you what's best for you. So if my mother doesn't give me my money from what she has, then God will say, go give it to someone else and let Danny be. You understand? Let Danny have what he has over there in Australia, and you go give to these poor people over here because they deserve it more. You understand? Or because they need it more than Danny Milivojevic. You understand? So if I need what my mum has for me, you understand? Then God's going to give it to me. You understand? But if someone needs it more than me, then God can give it to them. You understand? And that's a lesson for me as well. You understand? That not everything goes toward you, but everything does go toward you as well. You understand? So that's the way it is. You have to coach people. You have to talk it out with yourself and other people. And you have to understand that sometimes people want to lead you astray from your passions. My mum wants to lead me astray from my passions to join her type of lifestyle. But she'll never do that. You understand? I won't allow her to do that. You understand? Sometimes you have to go your own way in life. But you have to allow life to happen. But choose your decisions. Choose who you want to live with and never complain. You understand? Never complain. Go where you need to go. Go be where you want to be in life. You understand? I enjoy Sydney. Even when there's nothing to do there. For sure, there's not much to do in Sydney. But there's a lot to do with God. You understand? The thing is that I enjoy Sydney. I enjoy Sydney more because I'm familiar with it. You understand? I get to go to places. I do my own things over there. It's alright. You understand? I can live. You understand? I understand how much Jesus Christ went through this life. You understand? And he went through more than me. I understand that. But God says that I went through some things that Jesus Christ didn't go through. You understand? But Jesus Christ went through the fullest of full life. You understand? He lived much better than anybody else in life. Jesus Christ did. I promise you. I promise you, Jesus Christ lived the best lifestyle. And better than anybody else. You have to believe that to be true. So now what's in store for me is different things. You understand? I like to sit down on my bed, just talk. Just talk as much as possible and do whatever it is that gets me going. You understand? I need to be living life, but it's getting late and I have to go to bed because I'm waking up early tomorrow. So the thing is that now, more than ever, I need to go and do better. I have to control myself. I have to have a better way of life. And I'm much more aware now than an hour ago. Do you understand? I'm much more aware about my life that I'm going to be living without my mother. You understand? That I'm going to be going much more in terms of whenever God tells me to go live with my mother for a bit, that's the best time for me. You understand? God had something planned for me here. God says, go get your papers for Croatia. Get your papers for Croatia. Well, I want to get my Croatian papers. So that's going to happen. You understand? And it's not because of my mom. It's because of me. You understand? I want to get my Croatian papers just in case. I want to get my Croatian passport just in case I need it. You understand? I have to get it. You understand? And I will get it eventually because that's what I asked for. You understand? So what you ask for is what you get. You understand? So I already see that I have a Croatian passport already. It's no worries. And the thing is that I might want to get a Serbian passport, but the thing is that I don't need it. You understand? I don't need a Serbian passport at all. I can get a Serbian passport though and go live in Serbia like a king. But I don't need to do that. But maybe I might have to. Or maybe I might have to. We'll see. Depending on what's going to happen. You understand? So it's much more how it is. But I have to be in Serbia for that. I have to go to Serbia for that. But in Australia, I have everything. I have a family in Australia. There's no point in going to Serbia to live in Serbia when I have a family in Australia. I'm much more familiar with Australia than Serbia, so I'll just live in Australia. You understand? So that's how it is. I mean, that's how it is. You understand? But where am I going to live? I'm going to live in Australia, and that's it. And I'm going to visit my mum when God says so. I'm going to leave it up to God. You understand? When the best time is for me to visit my mum, that's when I'll visit my mum. If that means 3 months of every 12 months or 3 months of every 6 months, and depending on what's going to happen, we'll see. Do you understand? My mum can visit me. It's no problem. She has money. Do you understand? She can visit me sometimes. So that's how I feel. I could send my mum money. You visit me, mum. That's it. You come all the way that way for me. Be with me for a bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's going to be sometimes as well, says God. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, enjoy yourselves and see you guys in the next program.